This weekend, the FIA Formula 3 European Championship comes to Spa-Francorchamps. It is its annual visit to the Great Belgian Circuit. 3 races as normal, all part of the Total 24 Hours of Spa weekend. The cars making their way round to the grid. Slightly delayed start for round 13 of the championship, the first of the 3 races of the weekend, because of dramas not Formula 3 created, but in an earlier qualifying session, a red flag means that things are just running a little bit behind. But the cars head to the grid, and it will be, of course, the usual format of 33 minutes plus 1 lap when we get ready for racing. Temperatures have been incredibly hot all weekend. It's approaching 11 o'clock local time, so the temperatures are going up and up again, once again. We did have a bit of rain yesterday evening, but this morning the circuit is bone dry once more, and the team's getting ready to not only take part in what promises to be a thrilling race, because F3 is always really good around Spa, but there potentially is going to be an element of tyre management in all of this as well. Track temperatures going up all the time, so too the ambient, and the drivers head towards the grid based on the time set in the first qualifying session of the weekend. Of course, Q2 gives you your best and second best times for the grids for races 2 and 3 that we'll get to this afternoon, and of course tomorrow morning in the case of race 3. David Addison trackside, you're looking down at La Source, from which the cars will head downhill towards Eau Rouge, past the old pits, the endurance pits. They then make the climb up through Raidillon, and this is a circuit that all the drivers absolutely love. Some have been here before, whether it's been in Formula 3, whether it's been in Formula Renault, for example, and of course one of last year's winners, Ferdinand Habsburg, is back for another season, but he didn't do all that well in qualifying. He was 10th in the qualifying session yesterday, and a very odd session it was, because everybody went out late in the hope of being able to get clear track space. But the problem was that because they all had the same idea, nobody got clear track space. They all got caught up in traffic, and if you were at the front of that queue, you never got a tow. It was really a bit of potluck as to where you were in the queue of cars and whether you got a tow. And it was Jehan Daruvala who was the quickest. He will start on pole position, with the New Zealander Marcus Armstrong lining up with him at the front of the grid. And Armstrong, who's had a race win this year, is the championship leader. Third on the grid for the Hi-Tech Bullfrog GP team is Alex Palau, and then fourth, another winner this season, Guan Yu Zhou. Fifth on the grid, Ralph Aaron, triple winner, and he's got Robert Schwarzman with him. Schwarzman didn't get a tow and reckons that, if you like, tow adjusted, he could have been on the front of the grid. Inam Ahmed, the reigning British F3 champion, double winner this year, he will line up 7th ahead of Ben Hingley, who also graduates from British F3. 9th is Yuri Vips, who's taken a race win this season. That was at the Norris Ring. And 10th is the motorpark car of Jonathan Aberdeen. The most recent winner, Nikita Troitsky, he was a winner at Zandvoort in the first race there. He will start from 11th on the grid, ahead of Sascha Fenestrat. Dan Ticktum, who flat-spotted his tyres and got bogged down in traffic, he will start 13th, ahead of Sophia Flörsch. Then it's Marino Salto. And Mick Schumacher, 16th on the grid for this. He's on pole position, though, for race 2. 17th is Artem Petrov. 18th, Fabio Scherer, ahead of one of last year's winners, Ferdinand Habsburg. And then Julian Hansers for the Macon team is 20th on the grid. 21st is going to be Amaya Vaidyanathan, ahead of Petru Florescu, with Kevin Suri qualifying 23rd. And even though he got a 3-place grid drop for causing a collision at Zandvoort, he stays 23rd, because Sebastian Fernandez gets a 10th-place grid drop for an engine change because of a mechanical failure during free practice 1 on, whenever it was now, Thursday morning. So that's how the grid lines up. So from Kevin Andrews' point of view, it matters not at all that he had that grid drop. The cars are about to be released from the pit lane and make their way round to the grid. There's barely a cloud in the sky, and it promises to be a fascinating race, this, especially in terms of how drivers make that run up the Camel Straight, up towards Raidillon, because as we've seen time and time again in Formula 3 around here, it's a part of the circuit where the tow works, sometimes for you, sometimes against you, and if you get the move made there, and you can then pull away during the downhill section out of Bruxelles through Speaker's Corner and Pouhon and build a gap, then you might be able to get away. But Formula 3 around here is always good. If you have a long memory, you might remember the fantastic racing that we had a good few years ago now, back in 2014, when Max Verstappen won all 3, but the Verstappen and Esteban Ocon battles across the 3 races were just absolutely outstanding. Of course, another driver who was part of that battle that season was Tom Blomqvist, who is now part of the Spa 24-hour entry in the BMW M6. So the cars head out onto circuit, round to the grid. There is Ferdinand Habsburg, number 62, winner here last year, but it was a difficult session, as I say, for the Austrian driver, finding himself way back on the 10th row of this one-by-one staggered grid. Out of Bruxelles, the cars then turning to Speaker's Corner. Of course, the championship, Dallara dominating by way of chassis. You've got the battle between the 2 different engine brands, Mercedes taking on Volkswagen, but it's a Carlin car ahead of a Prema Theodore racing car. Prema Theodore, the current incarnation of the Prema Power Team. They're going through is number 11, which is Sasha Fenestrat, who was pretty good at the start of the season, had a win in the middle race at Po, but has struggled a little bit since then. So De Ruyveler, the man that starts on pole position, going for 4 new tyres. The regulations give you a certain number that you've got to distribute across the 3 races. Also on 4 new tyres, the car we've just been looking at, that of Sasha Fenestrat and Nikita Troitsky, who's been a race winner this season. So going for new rubber for this race, and the Hi-Tech Bullfrog cars running single plane rear wings, which means they're going to be very, very quick on the straight. In other words, particularly up the Kemmel straight, heading towards Les Combes. So it could well be that Inam Ahmed and Alex Palin, who starts a couple of rows further up the grid, will be able to make some good progress on the opening laps of the race. And if they can work their way up the order and build a gap, then that's going to be interesting to see how the race pans out. The formation lap is going to start at 11:14. So the cars being able, therefore, to do another run through the pit lane if they so desire, just to give the drivers a little bit more knowledge of the circuit rather than going straight to the grid. There is Sasha Fenestrat making his way through the pit lane. For Renault start, and turning now up through the pit lane, then the run on towards the grid itself, which we will get to very shortly indeed for this first of the 3 races of the weekend. Sasha Fenestrat, as I say, part of the Carlin squad. Driver that was the winner, in fact, last year of the Renault Euro Cup. So there the grid is formed, or forming, 1 or 2 drivers heading into position. Jehan de Ruyveler, who was a race winner last season for Force India Junior, he's the man on pole position. There, weaving around, is the championship leader, the New Zealander Marcus Armstrong. He races under an Italian licence. He's done much of his early junior racing in mainland Europe, especially in Italy, but he's a Kiwi and has had a pretty good season. Some circuits new to him, but what he has done is a very good job of banking points. And so Armstrong for Prema Theodore Racing will start second on the grid, turning his way now out of the right at Bruxelles and then dropping down the hill. This is towards the left hand, the tight left of the so-called Speaker's Corner. And then he climbed down the hill towards Pont Speaker's Corner, because in the old days, when the track commentator's box was overlooking the endurance pits, you could see the start, you could see Eau Rouge, but the only other part of the track you could see was that left-hander in the distance, and so it became known as Speaker's Corner. It was the only other part the speaker of the circuit could see. This is the run out of Pont down towards the right-left of Fania, or the Pith Path. And all these cars with the Hankook rubber, then set for 33 minutes of racing plus 1 lap. Marcus Armstrong here getting a little bit of warmth into the tyres, the pressure's up, and then will slot into position on the grid. He was a race winner earlier on in the season at the Norris Ring in, as ever, 3 rather chaotic races. It's the perils of the street circuit, but now looking forward to what should be a really good weekend of racing. Spa and Monza, perhaps the ultimate Formula 3 circuits because of the slipstreaming, and now as the grid starts to take a little bit of shape, the countdown begins. There, number 5 is Petru Florescu, starting way back, 22nd on the grid. He's one of the first to arrive for Fortec, Richard Dutton's team. With everybody having the same base car, it's down to a good engine, a good setup, and how well you can work with the engineers to get the best out of the package. Go further forward on the grid, Mayor Vaidyanathan, who drew attention to himself for the wrong reasons, really, with that spectacular accident with Dan Tincton off the grid at the Norris Ring, which left quite a few people shaking their heads. But Vaidyanathan, I think, has learnt from that and has come back a resilient driver, and will be making progress, I'm sure, as this weekend goes on. Dan Tincton was struggling yesterday, just to talk about the grid for a moment, the Red Bull backed motor park car, but should be able to make progress, I would have thought, once we go racing. So the grid, with all the engineers ready to receive the cars, and umbrellas up to try and keep some of the temperature off the drivers. The pole position car is about to arrive in place because Jehan de Ruyveler is making his way now up through the grid, ready to stop on his marks, where the Carlin team is ready to receive the driver who is 8th in the championship and is becoming a regular now in Formula 3. He was 6th in the championship last year, and also drove in the Toyota Racing Series prior to that, Formula Renault, for a couple of seasons, and came out of karting. Born in Mumbai is Jehan de Ruyveler, but schooled in England. Came from Formula Renault into Formula 3 for last season. There's the back of the grid, starting to form up, coming out of the bus stop. Number 15, you can see, is Pierre Mansouri, who had this incident at Zandvoort, caused a collision, and therefore got a 3-place grid drop. However, it didn't really matter because he qualified 23rd and he stays 23rd because the only other driver he could have dropped behind had a 10-place grid drop for an engine change. So, as it happens, Suri will start where he qualified anyway, and there is the driver with the 10-place grid drop. Under the regulations, and it's always a point of discussion and frustration for the teams, if you change an engine because of a mechanical failure, then it's a 10-place grid drop. Dan Ticktum got away with it because it was accident damage at the Norris Ring. But here, this 10-place grid drop for Sebastian Fernandez for the Motor Park team. And again, let's see what progress he can make. He's come from the Italian Formula 4 Championship, in which Sebastian was 4th last year. He's also raced in the UAE Formula 4 Championship prior to that. So he is Venezuelan but runs under a Spanish licence, Sebastian Fernandez, and starts then at the rear of the grid. The qualifying time that he did would have put him round about 16th on the grid. That's Julian Hanses in the almost camouflaged Marcon entry. Julian Hanses back in Formula 3, and he will start from 20th on this one-by-one staggered grid. We're about 8 minutes away from getting the formation lap underway. It's Ferdinand Habsburg there, winner here last year. And it was a great drive, in fairness, by Habsburg. He, for Carlin, starts on the 10th row, leaving himself with quite a lot of work to do. 1 2 last-minute adjustments made. And mentor and coach and former GT star Jamie Campbell-Walter leans in for last-minute advice. Number 13 is Fabio Scherer, who was pretty good at Pau at the start of the season, but having shown good speed, then made a mistake, ploughed off into the barriers. So Fabio Scherer blotted his copybook, but he's another of the Moto Park drivers and showed decent pace on occasions this season. Number 12 is Artem Petrov, driving for Van Amersfoort Racing, a team that's really struggled since its 2 excellent years of Max Verstappen and then Charles Leclerc. But Fritz Van Amersfoort's team still there or thereabouts, never to be discounted. Mercedes engine car, and Artem Petrov getting ready for this first of the 3 races. Fabio Scherer engineered by Stephen Colbert, who, if you have a very long memory, you might remember for Meritus in British Formula 3 going back to 2001, 2001, roundabout there, before he went off to race Renault Clios for a time, Stephen Colbert. Mick Schumacher, always a big draw, and a bit like the rest of his season, really. It's been a quirky weekend. Good in one session, not so good in the other. Got caught up in the traffic for this race, so he's 16th on the grid, but pole position for later on in the weekend. Mick Schumacher then driving for Prema Theodore Racing, 9th in the championship. 33, moving further up the grid, is Marino Sato, another of the Moto Park drivers. Second season in the championship for Marino. And yet to be a podium finisher, but building experience all the time. Volkswagen power for the Japanese driver's car. Therefore, Van Amersfoort is the only lady driver on the grid, Sophia Flörsch, who debuted at Zandvoort and actually did a pretty decent job. I think Martin's saying she's the first lady that we've had on the grid since Tatiana Calderon drove in the championship. Sophia Flörsch out of occasional Ginetta Junior races and then Formula 4 into Formula 3. There is a man to watch, undoubtedly, Dan Ticktum, starting 13th on the grid. Now, because you can overtake round here, you certainly want to watch the reigning winner of the coveted BRDC McLaren Autosport Young Driver of the Year award. But Dan Ticktum, who in British F4 rather blotted his copybook, served a ban for a time, but was maintained on the roster. The faith kept by Red Bull, came back into Formula 3, winner of the Macau Grand Prix last year, double winner in this championship this season already. There's another race winner, Sacha Fenestrat, who was victorious at Pau, and remember, he is on 4 new tyres, so Fenestrat one to watch. Nikita Troitsky also is on 4 new tyres for this race, and the Carlin driver winner at Zandvoort gets ready to go. It's 12 tyres that you get for the weekend, and that's across the qualifying as well as races. So you want to be as old as you can in free practice, but keep a new set for at least one race. Some drivers will run 2 new in one race, 2 new in another. Jonathan Aberdeen is there. He will line up 10th on the grid, and their 9th is Juri Vips, another race winner. He's 6th in the championship, Juri Vips, who has just steadily got on with the job this year. He drives for Motor Park, the Estonian, and Vips moving up from the German F4 championship into Formula 3 for this season. Ahead of him on the grid is the British driver Ben Hingley, who after 2 seasons in the BRDC British F3 champion for the non-FIA spec cars now moves up to International Formula 3 for the renamed Hi-Tech Bullfrog GP squad. There is his teammate and the reigning British F3 champion, Inam Ahmed, up from F4 into F3. And lots of people were saying, wonder how good he's going to go in International F3. Well, he proved the point by being the first double winner of the season. He was the first person to win twice. But he had a really bad weekend at Zandvoort. Was in strife in qualifying, was in strife in the races, and so dropped away in the championship. So he's down to 5th in the title race now. Robert Schwarzman, another F4 graduate, lining up 6th on the grid. It's a Prema Theodore car, even though the livery is different because it's in the SMP Racing colours. Robert Schwarzman up from F4 into F3. For 5th on the grid, Ralph Aron, perhaps one of the most experienced drivers on the grid in F3 terms these days. He's been around for a long, long time, it feels like, plus also the MRF Challenge he's raced in. But Ralph Aron, 3 times a winner. He's done more winning than anybody. He won at Pau and he won 2 at Zandvoort. He is only 3rd in the championship. Frustratingly for him, that Pau Grand Prix win was stopped early and only half points awarded. So that put him not on the back foot necessarily, but it was a frustration that he didn't get the maximum number of points that he should have done. Guan Yu Zhou was the winner of the opening round of the championship. Zhou having had a good pace at Zandvoort as well last time out, and he will start 4th. 3rd on the grid is Alex Palau, who's another of the Hi-Tech Bullfrog drivers. And again, he's had good and bad weekends. He was pretty decent at Pau, going back to the very start of the season, and lines up 3rd on the grid here. So again, with the setup that they've got with a single plane rear wing being quick in a straight line, if he gets a good run up the Camel Straight on the opening lap, expect fireworks. For 2nd on the grid, just up the road ahead of him, it's Marcus Armstrong, the New Zealander, the championship leader. As I say, he has done such a good job of banking points, and the Prema Theodore racing car of the Kiwi lines up on the outside of the front of the grid, and that leaves pole position to the domain of Carlin and to the Indian driver Jayan Daruvala in the Force India colours. The Force India Junior lines up on pole position, but this man Marcus Armstrong is certainly going to be a danger. He is part, as you see on the side of the car, of the Ferrari Driver Academy, as indeed is Guan Yu Zhou. There is Jayan Daruvala's car, and the Volkswagen motivated Carlin Run Dallara with a clear road ahead. And you know how important the start is in a Formula 3 race. Well, with clear road ahead, if Jayan Daruvala makes a decent getaway, he can be pretty hard to stop. But the run up to Les Combes on the first lap is going to be fascinating to see who gets the toe, who gets the run on the way up to Les Combes. Mick Schumacher is good to go. Countdown continues, so we are into the final minute. The grid is cleared, the engines fire up. The last engineer then now makes his way off the grid. The marshals making sure that all the team personnel are done. Let's have a quick stroll down the grid. You go past Groover and Armstrong and Palau and Zhou. The 3rd row is Ralph Aron and Robert Schwarzman. The 4th row, Inam Ahmed there, and alongside him is teammate Ben Hingley. Then up against the pit wall, you will see there on the left as you look, Yuri Vips. Alongside him is Jonathan Aberdine, ahead of Nikita Troitsky in the yellow car of Sasha Fenestrat. Dan Ticktum for Motor Park is next, with Sophia Flörsch alongside. Then Marino Salso is up near the pit wall. Alongside him is Mick Schumacher. Behind them, Alton Petrov and Fabio Scherer, ahead of Ferdinand Habsburg and Julian Hansers. The penultimate row, you get to it just now, is Amaya Vaidyanathan on the left as you look. Alongside him, Petru Florescu, and then the penalised drivers of Kevin Suri and Sebastian Fernandez at the back of the grid. That is how we look, ready to go racing in round 13 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Green flag wave, formation lap is underway. Everybody blasts off, then down towards La Source. 33 minutes plus a lap around here. A long race. Tire management in these temperatures is going to be interesting, that's for certain. And so too, I keep making the point, I know, is this toe, this run up towards Les Combes. Years ago, when Jean-Eric Verne, as an example, was racing in his British F3 that was at this equivalent event, he will always try and do the overtaking at that part of the circuit, because he then had the rest of the lap try and break the toe, build a gap, so that when they got to the Camel Straight the lap after, nobody could tow their way back up behind it. But that is all dependent on not making a mistake, of course, and dropping any time. Let's just recap how that grid is going to line up. Jayan Daruvala pole from Marcus Armstrong and Alex Palau. Guan Yu Zhou is 4th ahead of his teammates Ralph Aron and Robert Schwarzman. Then it's Inam Ahmed ahead of his teammate Ben Hingley. And then 2 Motor Park twins, Yuri Vips and Jonathan Aberdine, round out the top 10 of this 24-strong lineup. Nikita Troitsky is 11th ahead of Sasha Fenestrat. Then it's Dan Ticktum from Sophia Flörsch and Marina Sato. Mick Schumacher goes from 16th ahead of Artem Petrov, Fabio Scherer and Ferdinand Habsburg, with Julian Hansers 20th. And behind him, it will be 21st, Amaya Vaidyanathan. Then Petru Florescu is 22nd, and Kevin Suri and Sebastian Fernandez round out the grid. Carlin at the front, and it's Motor Park at the back. They come out on Roussel, drop downhill towards, first of all, Speaker's Corner, and then on towards the long left at Pouhon. Down to the brakes before you get to that left-hander, and then power all the way through up towards the right-left flick of turns 12 and 13, the Piff-Paff, and then on towards Campus, the Cours Paul Frere, and the run up towards Blanchimont, and back towards Civilization, if you like, towards the Formula One pits. Going through is the Schumacher-driven Prema Theodore Racing entry, and under very unspa-like skies, the cars wriggle their way through the Piff-Paff. So pick a winner. This could be a wide-open race. We've had 8 different winners so far out of the 12 races. We could have another name to that list, Jean de Ruvela potentially. What about Alex Palou from 3rd on the grid? What about Robert Schwarzman if he gets a tow? So plenty to look for in this race, plenty of battles, and expect drama. Cars now turn towards the right-hander Cours Paul Frere. Speed building from this part of the circuit all the way back to Blanchimont, and then it's hard on the brakes into the bus stop chicane. And again, if you get a good run through Blanchimont, you get a tow, you might be able to dive up the inside and try to make a move for position coming to the end of the lap. We've got another race to go today, so I don't want to be wrecking cars. I don't want to be overly heroic. Any heroics come in races 2 because there's only time, or indeed race 3 when you've got time before the next event itself. There's the Julian Hansers Macon car wriggling through, number 18, and the man that leads them up to the grid, Jean de Ruvela then. So, winner at Monza last year, what can he do at Spa 2018? Pressure on then as he starts from pole position, all the hard work done in qualifying, but now he's got to try and convert that into a victory. We've had him 3rd at Zandvoort, we've had him 3rd at Pau, we've had him 3rd at the Norris Ring. He's not had a 2nd, he's not had a win yet, but that could all change here. Up to the grid they will come. The race director, if he's happy with everybody's formation, will give the signal. We'll have the green flag from the back, and then round 13 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship will be good to go. There, look, Marcus Armstrong squirms the car up to the grid to try and urge a bit more warmth into the tyres. He'll slot into position any moment. And as he does so, then we shall be pretty much good to go. As soon as the last car, that of Sebastian Fernandez, is in place, then we'll be ready to go racing. It's round 13 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship, and the outside of the grid is formed. Everybody in a line. The final few cars trickle into position. Sebastian Fernandez at the very back. The marshal stands ready with the green flag. The course car is there as well, which will chase on the opening lap just in case there's any drama. At the very front, Jean de Ruvela then, who looks towards the lights, ready to try to convert pole into the lead. And could he make a break, even if he does that before Raidillon on the opening lap? 5 lights will go red when they go out, which is any second. Now we go racing, and a slow start by de Ruvela. Diving out from behind him is Alex Palou. Also a good start by Guan Yu Zhou, but it is Armstrong from 2nd on the grid that cuts across the defence, but round the outside of him goes Palou. Can he go all the way into the lead? No, he can't. He runs a little bit wide, and so there's contact further back. Troitsky, I think, was one of those involved. He's got broken suspension, so that's going to be a yellow straight away at La Source. Nikita Troitsky is gone with broken rear suspension as the cars dive downhill, and it's Armstrong just ahead then as they plunge through Eau Rouge for the first time. Wheel to wheel they run. Armstrong losing out because Palou is up the inside. He gets the tow, he gets the lead. De Ruvela is down 3rd, and he's under attack from Aaron, and then Schwarzman 5 for the race lead. Up front it is Palou, but look, even though he's good in a straight line, look at de Ruvela elbowing his way through. He's up to 2nd, he tries for the lead. Inam Ahmed's up the inside as well. Off the road, it's Armstrong, championship leader, gets airborne over the rumble strips. He's back on 3rd, just ahead of Ben Hinchley, in fact, not Ahmed, and we go safety car, do we, straight away? Yes, the safety car boards are there, the yellow flags fly. Safety car deployed straight away because of this Nikita Troitsky incident down at La Source. But Ben Hinchley, a ripper start, 8th on the grid, and he's up there in the mix. That shows you what a good setup Hitech has gone for with his single plane rear wing, and also how the tow works, and also how brave Ben Hinchley was. Great racecraft then, up into 4th spot. So Palou leads, de Ruvela 2nd, Armstrong 3rd despite running off the road. 4th is Hinchley, look, as they come downhill. 5th is Zhou, and then in 6th, Ralph Aaron, I would offer you. So there is the safety car ready to scoop up everybody, and the field will slot into place behind. Let's have a replay of the start. De Ruvela, look, just a little bit tardy away. So he bogs down, Palau dives out from behind him. Look at Zhou, there's nowhere for him to go. Across the front cuts Marcus Armstrong, but Palau, brave stuff, trying to go around the outside. It didn't work for him, but he bails. He gets into the slipstream, and it was Sasha Fenestra, wasn't it, with Nikita Troitsky as they made contact coming through La Source, and Troitsky's car, effectively a three-wheeler, is going no further. This through Eau Rouge. Look at Ben Hingley, he's worked his way already up into fifth. He's about to make another move on the run up the hill. Wheel to wheel lower down the order as Kevin Suri and Sebastian Fernandez get together, but Palau leads on the run up towards Les Combes, and then brave stuff this, because Armstrong goes to the outside, but look, de Reuveler gets out his elbows, goes for a gap on the inside. Hingley gets up past number one of Guan Yu Zhou, almost gets third as well. Armstrong's got nowhere to go, runs out of road, over the rumble strip, bounces back to earth, and just hangs on to third place. So a very busy first few corners, and now behind the safety car, time to settle down for a moment or two and catch breath as they come out of the bus stop. So Nikita Troitsky's car has already been removed, so anticipate the safety car to be in at the end of this lap. Perhaps the race director, hindsight, think could have got away with a full course yellow there, which is easier and quicker, of course, to bring back in, but safety car was the call. Everybody bunches up, so the order. Alex Palau, yet to win this year in Formula 3, leads. Second is de Reuveler, third is Armstrong, and fourth is Hingley. Fifth is Zhou, sixth Aaron, seventh is Inam Ahmed, eighth is Robert Schwarzman, ninth is Yuri Vips, and there Sasha Fenestra with a punctured tyre. Legacy of the contact comes into the pit lane. 10th is Aberdeen, 11th is Mick Schumacher, up from what, 16th on the grid. 12th is Dan Ticktum, in 13th place Marina Sato, 14th Sophia Flörsch ahead of Artem Petrov. Ferdinand Hasberg is 16th. In 17th place it is Andres Suri ahead of Hansers. Then you've got Fabio Scherer, and it is Sebastian Fernandez running in 20th place. And another replay of the slipstreaming going on the run up towards Les Combes. Have a look at de Reuveler. Look, he gets a toe, can't find the gap. There's a little bit of a gap. Go for it. Elbows out, wriggles through. Armstrong has to give him racing room. But then Armstrong himself gets forced out wide and drifts off the road through Les Combes, bounced over the curb. So now Alex Palau, with the safety car confirmed as being in this time, is the man in the lead. So is this going to be a ninth different winner? Well, we've got de Reuveler behind him, who's also not won this season, and then it's Armstrong in third, Ben Hingley fourth, who's yet to win. It's still wide open. And as far as the championship is concerned, Marcus Armstrong is the championship leader coming into this race. So he is the best place of those fighting for points. Guan Yu Zhou is second, and he is fifth. Third is Ralph Aaron, and he is in sixth place. So it could be an interesting points tally at the end, but there's an awful lot of water to flow under bridges first. There's a frustrated Nikita Troitsky, winner Zandvoort, not even a lap done in the first race at Spa. So very frustrated to say the least. Russian driver will become a spectator. Safety car in this time, and hustling on down towards now the pit path. You see the drivers just weaving around once more to try and get the warmth into the tyres again, get the pressures up. They've only really had half a racing lap, I suppose, before that safety car call came. Fans in the woods on the banking overlooking the bus stop getting ready. The incident on the first lap is going to be investigated after the race. We didn't really see the start of it, just Troitsky spinning, but certainly Fenestra got involved in that because of the damage to the car. So he is back and running 23rd. At least he should be able to catch the queue while we've got the safety car out, but it is quite a big ask. Whether he has lost a lap, we'll have to double check. So the safety car will be in. Alex Palau now slows everybody right down, ready to go. And the fans, the Hardy that have got here bright and early this morning for this opening race of F3's weekend, are going to be treated, I'm sure, to another great battle as we get set to go racing. But all of this has really munched into the 33 minutes available. There at the back is Fenestra, so he has caught Sophia Flörsch, he was caught Petru Florescu's car, I should say, and will be good to make ground up when they accelerate away this time. Through Blanchimont, and it's up really now to Alex Palau to control the pace, because once the safety car gets away, he will accelerate, but you've got to go. You can't go and slow, otherwise you cause an accident and you get into all sorts of trouble with the race officials. Safety car comes in, we get set to go racing. You can't overtake until you get to the safety car line, which is coming up at the exit of the bus stop, and a challenge is made there by Ben Hingley against Marcus Armstrong. He didn't go through, but he had a very good look to try to unsettle the New Zealander. Over the timing line, we go racing, and look, Armstrong is on the defensive straight away, so he's lost out against the top two. Ben Hingley comes up to the outside line, going into La Source. Right there behind them as well is Guan Yu Zhou, but Armstrong hands on to his third place. The leader is Palau. There's another one running way wide. It could be Schwarzman coming out of La Source. Downhill they go, nose to tail. Palau it is, with Daruvula second. Bit of a gap was opened up then. Armstrong still defending from a very quick Ben Hinchley, who's going to go for third now. Look at the speed he's got coming up Eau Rouge. Through Radion, onto the Camel straight this time. Daruvula gates for the lead on the outside, even against a single-plane rear wing on the high-tech car of Palau, and he will go through. Here comes Hinchley up to third, and look, having lost the lead straight away, Palau fights back, goes for the outside, but it's Daruvula who hits the front. What about third? Armstrong was just ahead. Is Ben Hinchley going to go through? No, he's not. So Armstrong hangs on to third. Hinchley is fourth, fifth and sixth going through together. Zhou just ahead of Aram. Then it's Anam Ahmed in seventh place as nose to tail the race leaders come down towards Bruxelles, and through on the inside goes Hinchley, a lock up from Armstrong. And Zhou and Aran are together, and Armstrong gets forced out wide. Has he got a problem? The championship leader might have had a bit of contact there, but Armstrong has lost place after place. Look, the championship leader has dropped way back. He has got a problem. He's limping down the hill, so Marcus Armstrong is in real trouble all of a sudden. Rather than being third, the championship leader is out of the points, and he could well be out of the race. Look at the two leaders getting away then now. It is Jehan Daruvula yet to win this season ahead of Alex Palau, man that started third on the grid behind the pole sitter, the race leader Daruvula. Green flags fly, punctured tyre for Armstrong, so it was contact up at Bruxelles that has done for him. I just wonder also whether that might be a legacy of running off the road early on. If it's a slow puncture, Cause remember when he went off at Les Combes on the opening lap, might have come back to bite him. Either way, Armstrong's race is effectively run. Now it's a long run, especially under green flag conditions, back towards the pit lane. Dan Tickton there, crawling all over the back of Jonathan Aberdeen, the two motor park cars together, the two teammates. But Tickton, look on the inside line, is going to get the run. Is he? Tries to go through. Further up the road, Robert Schwarzman attacks Yuri Vips. Vips in 44, Schwarzman in number 10. And hard on the brakes into the bus stop they come. Dan Tickton didn't quite find a way through there. One or two up the curb as the leader goes through. Jehan Daruvula ahead of Alex Palau, and those are well clear now. 2.8 seconds ahead of the new third placeman Ralph Aran. Fourth is Zhou, fifth is Ahmed, sixth is Schumacher, seventh is Vips, eighth is Schwarzman, ninth is Aberdeen, 10th is Tickton, 11th is Sato, and 12th is Petrov. There's another lock-up. Whoops, a big moment there for Sasha Fenestrat, and the car just suddenly seemed to get away from him, snapped away under braking. He got collected mid-spin. That was a very weird moment for Sasha Fenestrat, almost as though something had broken. The car just suddenly snapped away. So Fenestrat rejoins a very unhappy race. And Ben Hinchley in the pit lane as well. Now remember, he was in that battle pack up at Les Combes, so I wonder whether the damage that he has sustained was to do with Armstrong's puncture. It shuffles the order again. Daruvula, Palau, Aran ahead of Zhou, Ahmed and Schumacher, the top six. So Schumacher started 16th, and another one in the wall. That's Ferdinand Habsburg, isn't it, coming out of Les Combes? Ferdinand Habsburg off the road, and last year's winner at Spa is a spectator this year. Carlin driver is out, and now let's see what call comes from the race official. They might be able to get that out of the way pretty swiftly. But high drama then, we lose Habsburg, but we've also lost Ben Hinchley, we've also lost Armstrong effectively, and do we find out how Habsburg got it wrong? It just seemed to spin through Les Combes and crunch backwards into the wall. So Ferdinand Habsburg is out, and Jehan Daruvula leads the way. Dan Tickton has done the absolute best of anybody in the first sector. Mick Schumacher though, 16th to 6th, and he's not finished yet either in the Prema car. So Daruvula for Carlin leads the way, second is Palau. They've got a big gap over everybody else. The incident involving Habsburg and Sophia Flörsch has been noted, we are told by the officials, so that's the other element to it. Sophia Flörsch getting involved with the hapless Habsburg. Out of Blanchimont they come, they're down towards the completion of lap 4. We've still got 22 minutes of change plus 1 lap on the clock as they break now for the bus stop chicane. Ralph Aran third. This will be an important race for Aran to gain points out of this. In fourth place still Guan Yu Zhou. There, 33, whoops, one way deep as they lock up for the bus stop, and amongst those getting it wrong there, number 3 Sebastian Fernandez, who's in danger of losing a place. Over the timing line they come. Dan Tickton, 2 absolute best, but Palau the fastest lap of the race. Battle on there, Schwarzman under attack from Marino Sato, and that is for 10th place. Schwarzman's dropped down the order. Dan Tickton is up into 8th spot, going strongly as well. So he started 13th and he's 8th, not quite as good as Schumacher's progress, but good nonetheless. Race order, Daruvula leading by 4/10 from Palau. Gap back 3 seconds to Aran in third. Fourth is Zhou, fifth is Ahmed, sixth is Schumacher. Then it's Vips, Tickton, Aberdeen and Schwarzman to round out the top 10.
And there's another change imminent here, look, because there, Inam Ahmed goes ahead of Guan Yu Zhou for 4th place now. Inam Ahmed, double winner this year, takes 4th place. And look in the background, Mick Schumacher is having a good go. Ticktum is on the back of Vips, the two Motopark teammates getting themselves together. And this long run works. More contact. Hansers there into the back of the now spinning Sebastian Fernandez. I was about to say, this long straight on the toe, really prompting the overtaking, but if you get it wrong, as Hansers has just done, you hit the car ahead, and Sebastian Fernandez tapped into a spin. He gets going again. He was a party of all of that zealotry on the part of Julian Hansers. Here it comes again, look. Hansers was in the toe, couldn't slow the car down in time, locked up, bang, into the back, and the one that oh so nearly got caught up in that, Sophia Flörsch, just being able to pick a way by. That ticked him on the move as well. Is that another slow Prema car? It is, and it's Guan Yu Zhou who's got a problem on this lap. Is that another tyre? Either way, Guan Yu Zhou is losing place after place. The car's struggling for traction, it seems, coming out of the corner. I just wonder whether this is another car with a tyre-related issue, because look, he's losing place after place. So plenty of the quick drivers having problems in this race. There now is Ralph Aaron. 4th is Inam Ahmed. 5th is Mick Schumacher. 6th is Vips. 7th is Ticktum. 8th and 9th, Aberdeen ahead of Sato. So Armstrong drops away, Hingley drops away. Now Guan Yu Zhou drops away. And out of all of it, Daruvala is still there. A drive-through penalty has been given for Julian Hansers for pushing another car over the timing line. Has just got the race leader at 6/10 now. The gap opening between Daruvala and Palau. In 3rd place is Ralph Aaron, 4th Ahmed, 5th Schumacher. Then it's Vips, Ticktum, Aberdeen, Sato and Schwarzman to round out the top 10. And anticipate Guan Yu Zhou into the pit lane at the end of this lap with whatever the problem is. The Prema Theodore racing driver, another one in problems. So the championship standings post-race will be absolutely fascinating. There is Fenestra at the back. He's about to gain another place here when Julian Hansers comes into the pit lane, and I was right, it is tyre related. Look, very punctured is that rubber. Guan Yu Zhou down the pit road, and although they can put another tyre on the car, he'll be out of the points, so he really needs another safety car period to bring him back into the mix. There through is Ralph Aaron. Mick Schumacher having to defend from Juri Vips, who goes round the outside. Vips nips up into 5th place there. Dan Ticktum won't be far behind either. The Red Bull liveried car of Dan Ticktum, the next one in the queue, out of Les Combes, then ride the curb down to Bruxelles here, and straight away Vips is able to extend the margin. Mick Schumacher then, having lost his 5th place, has to go onto the back foot now to defend, because he's got a whole line of cars stacked up behind him. Look, Vips getting away as they drop downhill once again, out of Speaker's Corner. He was all of the road there, up the curb. Ben Hingley back in the race, incidentally. He's way down in 21st position. He's just gone by. He'll now become 20th at the expense of Guan Yu Zhou. Dan Ticktum powers down through Puon, and we understand that Guan Yu Zhou is not going to rejoin. So, with so much time lost now, it's a retirement for the Chinese driver, frustratingly after decent pace evinced in qualifying. But Dan Ticktum is not done yet. Number 27, there he is, the British driver, powering his way up from campus to the Cours Paul Frere, this long right, and up front it is still Daruvala, who was being caught in sector 1 but then opened the margin again in sector 2. What about Guan Yu Zhou's Prema mechanics? They're packing up and it's an empty car, so a hugely frustrated Guan Yu Zhou out of the race. Close racing is one thing, but if it's puncturing tyres, and off the road there goes Marino Sato, forced out wide by Jonathan Aberdeen, but Sato has not given up yet. He's almost up the inside as they break for the bus stop, couldn't quite go through. Nose to tail they wriggle now, up towards the timing line. Past the pits they come. We understand also there are some overtakings under safety car to be investigated after the race, so what you see on the track may not necessarily be the finished story. Palau is falling away from Daruvala, who has now done the fastest lap of the race. Significant, because that's with no toe, because he's the one with clear road ahead of him. Others can latch onto the tail of another car and let that drag them along. We have done 6 laps and we've got 17 minutes of the race to go as you look at the next wave of cars, 5th, 6th and 7th. Hansers serving the drive-through at the moment, but Vips defending from Schumacher, defending from Ticktum. 5th, 6th, 7th, up the hill they climb. It's going to be 3 wide as it Ticktum. 2 wheels on the dirt, keeps on coming. Schumacher on the outside of Vips. A very brave Dan Ticktum is going to have a go to get past Juri Vips, his teammate. He goes through. Schumacher up 1 place, Ticktum up 1 place, and Vips down 2. Mick Schumacher is back into 5th. Up to 6th is Dan Ticktum, and down to 7th then goes Juri Vips. Great racing, and that's what you come to expect in Formula 3 at Spa. People say you can't overtake in Formula 3. Depends on the circuit. You certainly can around here. It's always a highlight of the Formula 3 European Championship calendar because of the quality of the racing. Of course, next year the FIA Formula 3 European Championship morphs into the Formula 1 package to take the slot now badged as GP3. There's still earnest discussion about rekindling the Formula 3 Euro Series, which would be a great category if it could be recreated to carry on with what we're enjoying now. There's Schumacher ahead of Ticktum, Vips, Aberdeen, Sato, Schwarzman next in the queue, and then behind you've got number 12, the Van Amersfoort car of Artem Petrov. Out of the pit path they come, short straight now, down towards the campus corner, past the college on the right-hand side, and then through Paul Frere once again. This is lap 7. Still 15 minutes plus a lap remains in this opening race of the 3 this weekend. Replay here of Dan Ticktum pushing on from Caen. And rather wide, that's Robert Schwarzman, isn't it, going wide over the curb. Just held on to that. He's in 10th place, which is the last point to place, but he might not stay there. Battles with Marino Sato coming up towards the bus stop and closing up all the time. Look, it's Artem Petrov. Petrov for Van Amersfoort Racing is the real danger here because he's trying to break into the points. The leaders go by, and that lead gap is 1.1 seconds now. Is looking to be winner number 9 of the year. Is number 9, Jehan Daruvala. Through La Source they go. Past the endurance pits, down towards Eau Rouge once more. So Mick Schumacher in 5th place. Can he do anything about Enam Ahmed, who's now 3.5 seconds up the road? Some of these gaps are going to be a bit dependent, I think, on either drivers making a mistake or, ideally for some, a safety car bunching up everybody once again. Vips under attack from Jonathan Aberdeen. Now more motor park battles rage on. Aberdeen on the outside line. Look, Vips tries to defend. There's Ticktum having a go at Schumacher, coming up towards Les Combes. Side by side, Vips in 44. On the outside line is Jonathan Aberdeen, but he can't quite find a way through there. The South African driver slots back in behind the Estonian. Robert Schwarzman, the Russian driver, number 10 in the blue and white Prema Theodore SMP racing car, down now towards Bruxelles. Schwarzman doing his level best to hang on to 1 point in 10th place. Number 13 through is Fabio Scherer. Out of the left of Speaker's Corner and down towards Caen once again. Now, is Daruvala going to be caught? Remember, he's on 4 new tyres, and the benefit of that now perhaps is starting to pay dividends. Through goes the Schumacher-Ticktum battle, still building up nicely for 5th and 6th places. There's Robert Schwarzman. 10th he remains on the back of Marino Sato, out of the right and the left, going through Pif-Paf, and now down towards campus. The curve, Ticktum hustling on. So Ticktum, a personal best in the middle sector, but not actually as quick as Schumacher ahead of him, so the gap remains between the two of them. And then down towards the bus stop once again. This lap 8, Jehan Daruvala it is who leads the way now by just over a second. Through they come. The race leader, Jehan Daruvala, over the timing line. That puts 8 laps in the book. He's 11 tenths up still from Alex Palou in 3rd place, and there's quite a gap between the top 2 of the 3rd place car. It is Ralph Aaron in 4th. You've got Enam Ahmed, and then a bigger gap back to the Schumacher-Ticktum battle for 5th place. Dan Ticktum is not yet close enough, but he might be on the run up the Kemmel Straight out of Rallion. So let's wait and see. The next little battle pack is Juri Vips, Jonathan Aberdeen, Marino Sato, Robert Schwarzman to round out the top 10 here. Out of La Source. Here is 5th and 6th. Mick Schumacher just ahead of Dan Ticktum. Out of Eau Rouge, climb the hill, and now is Ticktum in the draft. He's lining up to make a move, heading up the hill towards Les Combes. Ideally, leave it as late as you can, and then the other guy hasn't got a chance to fight back. Here comes Ticktum to the outside line. Is he going to get the job done? Again, he almost mows the lawn there, so close to the grass is he? He's on the outside line. He's going to do it right round the outside. Very brave move, and it works. Dan Ticktum goes through, goes 5th at the expense of Mick Schumacher. So remember, Dan Ticktum up from 13th on the grid, and that is Jonathan Aberdeen off the road. He was running 8th. That's at Les Combes. So he's got it wrong going into Les Combes. How did he get it wrong? We'll find out in a moment, I'm sure. But this illustrates how Dan Ticktum gained the place. Look, right in the slipstream, that drags the car along, gives it extra speed. Ticktum is able to dive to the outside, clear road ahead of him, brakes a fraction later, sweeps round the outside, and then look behind, contact. Jonathan Aberdeen getting involved. Now, was that with Vips or Sato? Because they were running all together. It was Vips, I fear. And here is Dan Ticktum again. Have a look in the background though, because yes, it was Juri Vips battling. He lost out to Aberdeen, and then there was contact. So Ticktum makes it work, whereas Aberdeen and Vips illustrate how it doesn't work, and contact between the two pitches both of them off the road, and Jonathan Aberdeen loses more ground and will tumble down the order as a consequence. The incident between Vips and Aberdeen has been noted. A word about Sacha Fenestra after his 2 spins in the race, 2 incidents, because he's now up into 16th. He's not in the points, but he's certainly not giving up. He's charging on as best he can. Here are the race leaders. The gap was down in sector 1, the gap was up in sector 2. In 3rd place it remains Ralph Aaron. In 4th place in Ahmed, and here's 5th and 6th then Ticktum ahead of Mick Schumacher. I know Schumacher has lost the place, but even so, from where he was on the grid, 16th, it's a very good effort. More tyre squeal as the cars go into La Source this time. Into the final 11 minutes of the race now. 7th Marina Sato. Is he going to be able to hang on to that with 8th Schwarzman? Down to 9th is Vips, and up into the top 10 now, Artem Petrov. So he is into the points. Admittedly at the expense of others, but it has worked for him. There, Dan Ticktum trying to shake off Schumacher. Now, of course, Mick Schumacher will try to do to Ticktum what he had done to him a lap ago by Ticktum. He tries to get into the slipstream now as they climb out of Eau Rouge. Nose to tail, they accelerate up the hill, heading towards Les Combes. And Schumacher is close, but is he close enough to make a move? Yes, he thinks about it. At the last minute, goes one way and then the other, but he hasn't got the width. So it is Dan Ticktum who hangs onto the place. Good defence. Mick Schumacher tried, but it did not work for him. They flick out of Les Combes down towards Bruxelles. And Schumacher possibly now has got to wait for another lap, really, to line up to have another go there. He is certainly closer to Ticktum, but now the problem is that he just can't find a place on the circuit where it's easy to find a way through. It's not the widest of tracks, even though it's a modern-day Formula 1 circuit, fits the requirements. It is not that easy to find nice, wide parts of the circuit to make that move. Down towards Pau they come. 9.5 minutes on the clock. Leading gap is going up all the time on his new rubber. J.M. Daruvalo is doing a very good job indeed. This is the battle for 5th place. Dan Ticktum keeping at bay here, look. Mick Schumacher returns through the pit path. So Carlin leading. 2nd is High Tech Bullfrog. 3rd is Prema. 4th is High Tech Bullfrog. 5th and 6th here, Motor Park ahead of Prema. So Ticktum 5th, the best of the Motor Park fleet. I don't think he's going to get higher than that unless somebody else has a problem up the road, because he's nearly 5 seconds away from the next car, that being Enam Ahmed. Up towards the bus stop then comes Dan Ticktum, and Schumacher, in fairness to him, has stayed pretty close all the way round this lap. So is he going to be able to find a way through on the Camel Straight next time? Jonathan Aberdeen, by the way, after that incident up at Les Combes, was pitted, so he's out of the race. And here is Ticktum over the timing line. He will come. Mick Schumacher in touch. The gap between them last time was 0.6. This time actually it's 0.7. It's gone up slightly. So Schumacher coming out of the bus stop, just losing a fraction of time. Can he make a good run down the hill now to get himself onto the back of the British driver's car? Volkswagen power from Motor Park for Ticktum. Mercedes power for Prema Theodore for Schumacher. And the gap there, look, going past the old pit, the endurance pit, widens a touch. So it might be that Ticktum gets a free ride up Radiant and onto the Camel Straight this time, because although Schumacher is not that far behind, he's certainly not close enough really to benefit from the tow. Just when he needs it, the gap has opened up. There, look, Ralph Aaron is under attack for 3rd. This is the last podium place battle going on. Enam Ahmed, who's also the leading rookie in the race, 4th, right over the back of Aaron there. He's crawling all over him. Down towards Bruxelles they come. The two of them nose to tail. This 3rd place fight, very close indeed. But Ralph Aaron, a more experienced Formula 3 racer, a winner in German F4, winner of the Italian F4 Championship, drops downhill. Ralph Aaron was a successful German F4 racer in his Italian title-winning season against the likes of Marvin Dienst, in fact, and Mick Schumacher as well that season. Marvin Dienst, the champion who went on to race for Porsche, become a sports car star, as here is Ralph Aaron making his way now into the right and then the left, out of the pit path. He's almost shaken off Ahmed, because the gap is widened by a couple of lengths, but Enam Ahmed knows where he needs to make that move, and it'll be up the Camel Straight next lap round. Wide up the curb goes Ahmed, trying to maintain the momentum all the time now on the run out of the Cours Paul Frère. Once again towards Blanchimont. The incident between Vips and Aberdeen is going to be investigated after the race, so it's another one that might rumble on a little bit before race 2. It could be that if there are any grid drops to come out of this race, they'll all be affected, of course, going into that 2nd race. So it's not all about qualifying time, it's about keeping your nose clean in this 1st race. Hard on the brakes, Ralph Aaron comes down to the bus stop. That long, long run up through Blanchimont and then to the slow bus stop right and left. Ahmed has certainly closed. Dan Ticktum is next up in 5th place. Now, does he have a chance of catching that gaggle ahead, seeing that they're squabbling? That lap from Ticktum was a 2:14. That's a second quicker than Ahmed ahead of him. Ticktum has got to make up, let's see, 4 seconds. And he's just made up 1 second against the opposition because they're busy squabbling. So Ticktum might, before the end, if he's really brave, be able to make a move against them here. The motor park guy is busy with the pit bull to try and give Ticktum the information. But the gap is certainly coming down. And here, look, Ralph Aaron versus Inam Ahmed. Is Ahmed close enough to have a go this time? He's only, 3-4 lengths back. He's in the slipstream. Look at the high-tech Bullfrog car being dragged along. The gap comes down and down. He goes to the outside line. Aaron will try to defend, try to squeeze, which he does. And because he's busy defending, he takes the slower line, all of which will play into the hands of Ticktum. Daruvala, Palau, Aaron, that's the podium, but it might not stay that way. Inam Ahmed, who started, remember, from the 4th row in 4th place, now looking for a way by. There's only 5 minutes plus a lap to run, and downhill comes Ralph Aaron, the Estonian, just ahead of the British driver. Inam Ahmed, winner of the British F3 title last season, and a double race winner in European Formula 3 this season as well. Both wins coming at the Hungaroring. There's the overall race leader, Jehan Daruvala, still doing a very good job, and he's now 3.3 seconds clear. Bearing in mind how competitive this championship is, bearing in mind that he's done that without any toe, he's just got his head down and used the new tyres to his advantage. That's a very commendable gap. Through he turns now, up through the right of the Cours Paul Frère, and then it's going to be left at Blanchimont. The flying lap is a 2:14, so he's going to get 2 more under the clock, and then a regulation lap, I would offer you. So 3 more laps to run for Jehan Daruvala, and look at this, out on his own, and at the risk of tempting fate, he has not put a wheel out of line in this race, has he? It might not have been the perfect start, but he's recovered from that and got himself back into the lead of the race. Alex Palau frustrated once again because despite the setup and despite good early racecraft, he's not been able to consolidate the lead that he briefly held, and he's not been able to stay with Daruvala. The gap is 3.6 seconds now over the line. Ralph Aaron goes through in 3rd place, 4th Inam Ahmed, down towards La Source. And again, look, that gap is so slender that Ahmed certainly has a chance this time around heading up the Kemmel Straight if he's able to stay close all the way down this run past the endurance pits. If he loses ground in the dirty air, he'll struggle to make it back up again, and it does widen slightly. Ralph Aaron having to defend it. That's why he's now 5.6 seconds back, falling away from Palau in 2nd spot. Up the hill they climb now. Is Ahmed close enough? He tried a lap ago. Yes, he is close enough. He's back in the draft. The slipstream kicks in right now. Which way does Aaron go to defend? There's contact and damaged suspension. Inam Ahmed waves in frustration. That's his race done. Inam Ahmed, damage to the front right corner, struggles into Les Combes, and that is his race effectively over. You saw the suspension breakage, and Inam Ahmed with a slow car carries on, but at reduced pace, and he's about to get gobbled up by Ticktum, and straight away that incident is noted. Now, was it Aaron's fault? Was it Ahmed's fault? Was it a racing incident? Let's have another look at it. Inam Ahmed is in the slipstream. He pulls out. Now, was that Aaron moving across, or was Ahmed not far enough out of the slipstream before he committed to the move? Let's have another look. Aaron was defending, but Ahmed equally didn't jink further across. The stewards will have a look, and they will make a call on that. But either way, it means that Dan Ticktum is up now into 4th place, and it means that Inam Ahmed is another of the gun drivers in the championship who's not going to score in what has been a really topsy-turvy race. Jehan Daruvala, 8th in the championship coming into this, is leading the way. Alex Palau, 7th, is the man 2nd, and Ralph Aaron, who started on the 3rd row and is 3rd in the championship, runs 3rd in the race. He's going to be the real beneficiary, I suspect, in the championship, as Inam Ahmed battles on, but only as far as the pit lane. Massive frustration for him. You could see that as soon as the incident happened, he was gesticulating the frustration at Ralph Aaron. But should he have jinked further to the left before he committed to the move? Discuss. He, of course, will say no. Through comes Daruvala. There is this lap to the end of the time, and then there's the regulation lap at the end. There in 2nd place is Palau. The gap is 3.8 seconds. Behind them, Ralph Aaron, who seems to have got away unscathed. Dan Ticktum, it was worth pushing on because he's gained 4th place. 5th is Schumacher, 6th is Schwarzman now, 7th is Marino Sato, he's done his best of the year coming up, 8th is Yuri Vips, 9th is Artem Petrov, and 10th is now Fabio Scherer. A lot has happened in this race. We've still got 2 laps to go, of course. Yet more could happen as Ahmed limps down the pit lane. Race run. So, double winner and coming into the race 5th in the championship. Another bad weekend, potentially, certainly bad start to the weekend on the back of a really lean time points-wise at Zandvoort. He can ill afford more bad races with no scores like this. The team has a look at the damage, but understandably, that's going no further. You can see the bend in the suspension, in the wishbone. That, for Inam Ahmed, is race run. Very disappointed indeed. It's a 30-race championship, but you have to keep scoring and scoring well, and that's where hitherto Marcus Armstrong had been good. He's retired from this race after the puncture, but he'd been banking points so readily. And there, Inam Ahmed, part of the British Racing Drivers Club's Superstars programme, steps out of the car and will trudge rather dejectedly away to gather his thoughts and come back fighting for race 2 later in the day. But for this man, Jehan Daruvala, there'll be 1 racing lap at the end of this. The clock will hit 0 on this lap, and then there's the regulation lap to come with Alex Palau nearly 4 seconds adrift. Really impressive drive this by Daruvala. Inam Ahmed desperately disappointed. So Daruvala through the long, fast left at Blanchimont. These days, of course, all the tarmac replaces the grass that was there in days of yore when far more cars would suffer grief. You get onto the grass and you'd be a passenger. Nowadays, that tarmac helps you out of any mistakes you make, but it also means that track limits becomes an issue. There in second spot, Alex Palau. So 1 lap to run. Daruvala leads the way. Over the timing line they come. And the gap could now be, in fact, over 4 seconds. Let's just time it as they come through, because 4.1 is confirmed as the margin between Daruvala and Palau, and that is a pretty decent gap for Jehan Daruvala to consolidate on the last lap of what's going to be a 15-lap race with that safety car period. Ralph Aaron is 3rd on the road. Will he stay there? 4th is Ticktum, 5th is Schumacher, and 6th is Robert Schwarzman. Schwarzman's had a yo-yo race, hasn't he? But he started 6th on the grid, and 6th seemingly is where he will finish. But it's been a busy 33 minutes plus a lap in between. In 7th place, it's Marino Sato. 8th, Yuri Vips. 9th, Artem Petrov. And 10th, Fabio Scherer. Scherer was another driver that started way back on the grid. 18th he started. So as many of the impressive drivers, race winners and regular point scorers have all hit dramas. So Jehan Daruvala leads the way. And look, Aaron to Ticktum. That gap was 11 tenths at the start of the lap. It's nearly nothing at all now. Schumacher is under attack from Schwarzman. And there behind, it's Vips versus Sato, with Vips going back ahead of him up into 7th place at the expense of Sato this time. But for the last place on the podium, Ralph Aaron can't breathe easy yet. Ticktum is right there behind him. Schumacher is still under attack. Through Brussels they go. Through that downhill right-hander. Then it's the left of Speaker's Corner, but look further up the road. Can Ralph Aaron keep Dan Ticktum at bay? The gap, there it is, widens to about 3 lengths. Schumacher still coming under renewed pressure from Robert Schwarzman. Into Pouhon they go, sweep downhill. And way wide there goes 33, that's Marino Sato. He lost 7th place, he might lose 8th in a moment as well as he tries to get back on the road, because Artem Petrov is now right on his tail. More changes perhaps to come before the checkered flag, but Jehan Daruvala is only now 2 corners away as he sweeps his way now through Blanchimont. It has been a long time between wins for him, but Jehan Daruvala certainly deserves this one. An excellent drive, and look at the gap. He's in splendid isolation as he comes down to the bus stop on his own, turning right and then turning left. Through the bus stop, the checkered flag is going to be made ready, and the winner of round 13 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship is Jehan Daruvala. The Indian driver wins at Spa-Francorchamps from 2nd, Alex Palau. The gap at the end had come down to 3.2 seconds. And for 3rd, Aaron just ahead of Ticktum. They battle their way up over the line. And it is 3rd place for Ralph Aaron, 4th for Ticktum, 5th will go the way of Mick Schumacher, in 6th place Schwarzman, 7th is Vips, 8th Sato, 9th Petrov and 10th Fabio Scherer at the end of a very lively, very topsy-turvy race with some excellent battles going on all the way through and plenty of surprises. So Daruvala from Palau and then Ralph Aaron is the top 3. And the rookie podium, Robert Schwarzman is the winner. Yuri Vips taking 2nd. They were 6th and 7th overall. And then Artem Petrov taking 3rd in the rookie competition. There'll be a standalone rookie podium, which hopefully we'll be able to bring as well. Time for a deep breath. Ben Hingley in the end recovering for 18th place after his travails early on in the race, and as the cars come the wrong way up the pit lane to save time, they are brought round the hairpin at La Source and back into the pit lane. There is the race winner. Jehan Daruvala then takes honours in round 13 of the championship. The FIA technical team received the cars ready for Parc Fermé conditions, and then the technical checks at the end of the race. Drivers will go to the podium shortly, but a delighted Force India Junior driver Jehan Daruvala it is that wins round 13 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. And you can see how much that means to him. It's been a long time between wins, but it's a very happy Jehan Daruvala. Congratulations all round.
I was just chilling halfway. I was not fast.
So he was much faster, but he'll go to the podium and be a very happy driver indeed, that is for sure. Crash helmet off.
Congratulations. Perfect.
Tina Archammer, the media delegate for the championship, whisks Jehan towards the
I was getting very good exit.
way area, and then they'll go to the podium.
Yeah, because my exit was really good. Yeah, it was perfect.
So Alex Palou and Jehan Daruvala discussed their race. Let's confirm the way they came across the line, not necessarily the race result. It was Jehan Daruvala, the on-the-road winner from Alex Palou. I don't think they're under any investigation, but the man that's third certainly is being looked at. Ralph Aaron was ahead of Dan Ticktum when they crossed the line on the road. In fifth place, Mick Schumacher, and then Robert Schwarzman coming home sixth, the winner of the rookie competition. Seventh, Juri Vips ahead of Marino Sato. They both had lively races. So did Arsene Petrov up to ninth, and Fabio Scherer, the man that rounds out the top 10. 11th going the way of Kevin Suri. That was up from the very back of the grid, wasn't it? He started 23rd to 11th, so really good drive, just missing out on a point. Taufik Flörsch 12th from Sasha Fenestrar after a pit stop. Amaya Vaidiana then 14th from Sebastian Fernandez, who started last of all. 15th he was. 16th Petru Florescu from Julian Hansers after a drive-through. And Ben Hingley 18th. Enam Ahmed out. Jonathan Aberdine out. So too Marcus Armstrong, we lost after his incident and the punctured tyre. Guan Yu Zhou, his teammate Ferdinand Habsburg in the wall. And although Nikita Troitsky is shown as DNS, he did definitely start because he was the cause of the initial safety car period. Let's have a quick look back at the highlights then of the opening race of the weekend. A slow start by Daruvala, a good start made by Marcus Armstrong. He cut across and he led down towards La Source for the first time. Contact though, Sasha Fenestrar got involved with Nikita Troitsky. Troitsky broken suspension, going no further. Safety car deployed. When the race got back underway, it was Alex Palou that led the way, but not for long. Jehan Daruvala made this bold move to get the race lead on the run up towards Les Combes. Daruvala through, Palou tucked up behind him, but not able to find a way by. Marcus Armstrong had been collected, and that gave him a punctured tyre. He limped back to the pit lane. More drama for Fenestrar. A big spin coming down to La Source. He got collected, but even so, he was able to rejoin the race. Less lucky, Ferdinand Habsburg. He got tangled up with Sophia Flörsch, backwards into the barriers. End of race. Jehan Daruvala then built that gap, kept on pushing, and was able to pull away from the charging Alex Palou behind him. Battles behind, Ralph Aaron getting into contact with a hugely annoyed Enam Ahmed, damaged suspension, putting the Brit out of the race. At the checkered flag though, it was all about this man. Jehan Daruvala heading for a race win, his first victory of the season, and that gives us now a 9th different winner out of 13 races in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Alex Palou taking second, and Ralph Aaron just hanging on to third place. A delighted Jehan Daruvala wins race 1 here at Spa. So the drivers making their way up towards the podium. And there you see the teams in the pit lane. In some cases getting ready for celebrations, in other cases packing up, ready to go back to the paddock, do repair work, or look at data with drivers and get ready for race 2 that will be coming up at 5 minutes to 3, all being well, local time. It's 12 o'clock local time now, as there is Ralph Aaron, Jehan Daruvala, and we will have, I'm sure, Alex Palau there as well. He's with Juri Vips ready for the presentations. Carlin represented on the podium as well as the winning team. And then as soon as the podium is down, the drivers will make their way rapidly to the press conference. So Ralph Aaron discusses the race with Juri Vips, 2 Estonians. And Jehan Daruvala, for a race winner, not looking over the moon about it, but I'm sure he will be, if you like to phrase it this way, relieved that the win has come, because it's been a frustrating start to the season, knowing that he is capable of it, but not being able to piece it all together. So it's come good now for him. Roland Brunserade there, who will be making the presentations as the president of the RACB, the Royal Automobile Club of Belgium's sporting department. And in the background, Vincent Franssen, there he is, the Belgian circuit commentator, will call forward the race winner, Jehan Daruvala, for the top step of the podium, the winning driver for round 13 of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. He will be joined by Alex Palou as the runner-up. And then third position will go the way of the Estonian driver, Ralph Aaron. And also the winning team, Carlin, is represented on the podium as well. And so we have 4, Jehan Daruvala, Carlin represented, and now the national anthem for the winning driver.
La victoire de Jehan Daruvala devant Alex Palou.
So Jehan Daruvala, winner of the first of 3 races here at Spa-Francorchamps this weekend in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. Et voilà Roland Brunserade, the president of the RACB Sport, intrinsically involved with the running of the Spa 24 Hours, of course for many years involved in running Formula 1 Grand Prix as the race director. And now Nathalie Maillet, the CEO of the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, steps forward to give the winning team trophy, and then to congratulate the top 3 drivers. Roland Brunserade will step forward once more with a second place trophy for Alex Palou, and then Nathalie Maillet for the third place trophy to give to Ralph Aaron, who, as we mentioned during the race, is being looked at for the incident with Enam Ahmed. There are drivers with the trophies. And now they will all stand on the top step, ready for the photographs. And the winning team, Carlin, after an excellent race for Jehan Daruvala there as well. And although they've got another race to come, and although they could do with clean overalls, they of course have at their feet the champagne. And I suspect it is going to be sprayed. Yes, it is. And this is where Alex Palou gets his own back on Ralph Aaron and on Jehan Daruvala. So a great first race, lots of drama, lots of action. We'll update championship situations when we get to race 2 later on in the afternoon. As I say, that is going to be underway at 5 minutes to 3. We'll be on there for that local time. It's just gone 12:05 now, so join us later on in the day for race 2 of the weekend in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship. More drama still to come in what is a fascinating season. Well done, Jehan Daruvala. He wins race 1. Race 2, catch up on that later on in the day. For now, from Spa and David Anderson, thanks for your company. Bye-bye.